everyone, and welcome to part 22 of the GT improvement class. Last time we talked about how to solve problems when a price includes a tax, tip, or discount. Today we're going to talk about percent of change, but before we talk about percent of change, I have a problem that I would like you to work out that is a review of this one. So we're going to do a basic warm-up. This is actually the problem that we were supposed to do earlier and I skipped it because we needed to talk about how to do it first. So I'm going to post this picture on your screen. Go ahead and pause your video and solve, and when you come back we'll go over the answer. Alright, here is your answer for that warm-up problem. I know it was tough because of all this nonsense. Remember, if you were doing this on the test, you would be using your answers to get the digits that you need to get for when you're doing this long division. So I apologize that it was long and annoying, but hopefully you got something close to this number. Your setup should have been 107.5% of something equals $11.50. This was a tax that was being included in the sales price, so that's why we added the 7.5% to 100. And then we did our algebra, we did our division, and you should have ended up with something right around in there, hopefully. All right, okay, let's move on to how to calculate percent of change. All right, calculating percent of change, which could be either an increase or decrease. So there's going to be word problems that say the question's going to be what was the percent of increase, what was the percent of decrease, or what was the percent of change. And this is how you're going to solve these types of problems. So let's start with a practice. Say, for example, you're at Target and you're buying something for $50. And you get to the register and they're like, oh, it's $44, it's on sale today. And you want to ask yourself, oh, I wonder what the percent of change was, or the percent of decrease. So the first thing you have to ask yourself is, what was the change? What was the change? And in this case, it went from 50 to 44, so it was a decrease of 6. Now, all you're going to do is make yourself a little fraction. You're going to put the change on the top and the original price or the original amount on the bottom. So in this case, our change was 6. And our original amount was 50. Now you have a fraction. All you have to do is change this fraction into a percent by doing 6 divided by 50, which I know you know how to do division at this point, so I'm just going to give you the answer, which works out to 0.12, which is 12%. Okay, so you take the change. What was the change? In this case, it went down. We're looking at the percent of decrease. The change was 6. Then all you do is make a fraction, change over the original. So 60 over 50, which is what our original amount was. 6 divided by 50 is 0.12, which is the same thing as 12%. Okay, let's do this one. So in this case, we went from 75 to 96. So we had an increase. So what was the change? Well, it went up by, difference between 75 and 96 is 21. So I'm just going to make my fraction. So 21, and the original was 75. Okay. What I would suggest, if you can, if it's easy, if you have fractions like this that you can easily reduce, I would say go ahead and do it, because smaller numbers are easier to work with. Okay, so 7 divided by 25. Go ahead and do that math now, and I'll show you the answer at the end. You should have gotten 0.28. which is the same thing as 28%. Okay, let's do this one. 22 to 11. In this case, this was a decrease. So we went from 22 to 11. So the change was 11. The original amount was 22. All right, if you look at this fraction, this could be reduced. 1/2. We don't even need to do any division because you already should know that 1/2 is the same thing as 0.5, which is the same thing as 50%. Okay, see if you can do number 4 on your own. Look at what the change is and then divide the change by the original. All right, so you should have done a change of 10 over original of 40. If you can, you might as well reduce fractions. In this case, I can cancel common zeros. And we already know that 1/4 is the same thing as 0.25, which is the same thing as 25%. I really hope you're studying that list of equivalent fractions, decimals, percents, because that will really help you do this stuff faster. Okay, I'm going to give you an example of a word problem with this type of situation in it, okay? All right, for this problem, with a good performance on the job, Jim's boss increases Jim's monthly salary from $4,500 to $5,400. By what percent did Jim's monthly salary increase? Okay, so percent of increase. So the first thing we do, so we're looking at 4,500 and it went to 5,400. So go ahead and you should calculate the change first, and we can do that by simple subtraction. So the change was 900. The original was 4,500. I'm going to have to do some division here, but before I do, I'm just going to cancel some common zeros. And this is also a fraction that I can reduce. Both are divisible by 9. So 1/5. And if you remember from your handy dandy chart that we made of equivalent fractions, percents, and decimals, you might remember that 1/5 is the same thing as 20%. So that would have been your answer for that first problem. I'm going to give you another problem to do. See if you can set this one up on your own, and I'll show you the answer when we come back. All right, for this one, Andy scored 90 on the last history exam. He scored 81 this time. By what percent did his score decrease? So we're going from 90 to 81. So the change in this case, it went down by 9, and the original is 90. I'm going to go ahead and reduce this fraction. So that would be 1/10, and 1/10, if you remember, is the same thing as 10%. So his score decreased by 10%. Now, if you didn't know this right off the bat and you still had to do your division, that's fine. You still would have gotten the same answer. Okay, I'm going to give you one more to do on your own. All right, for this last one, a man originally weighed 245 pounds. After 6 months of diet and exercise, his weight was 196. By what percent did the man's weight decrease? Okay, so we went from 245 to 196. So 245 minus 196. So that is a change of 49, and the original is 245. Now, I don't know any numbers off the bat that will go into both of these to reduce this fraction, so I'm just going to save time and just do it on its own. Now if I look at my answers, they all begin with a 2. So I know the first digit's got to be 2. So 245 can go into 490 twice. 245, oh, it works out perfectly. So my answer would be D, 20%. Oops. All right, that's it for this video. Hope that was helpful. I will, actually one more thing I think you should do. I would go ahead and pull out your flippy book and go to the percent of change tab, and I would just add this note to your notes here, so that way you can access it easily. So let's do a real quick example. So percent of change is just the change divided by the original. Go ahead and write that in there. And I'm just going to do one example. For example, 25 to 30, that is a change of 5 over the original of 25. So that would be 1 over 5, which is 20%. Okay, so make sure you get that in your flippy book. That way you can access these notes easily when we start doing word problem packets and you need to just access this stuff quickly. Okay, have a great day. See you next time.